The night Archie died, Mom launched a fundraiser. I stood by the kitchen counter, clutching his inhaler, while she typed donation goals like she was booking vacation tickets. I dawn, $10,000 by weeks in 45. I kept thinking this isn't grief. This is greed. Aunt Linda warned me, but I didn't listen. Last night, Meredith Patterson was escorted out of a gala screaming, mascara streaking down her face, subscribe so you don't miss what's next. Before Archie died, Meredith braided my hair and called me her sunshine. But even then, she'd criticize how I chewed, how I dressed, how I smiled. It wasn't love, it was compliance disguised in lullabies. Aunt Linda once muttered, she always needs a spotlight. I laughed, brushing it off. After Archie's funeral, I found her journal pages calculating social media posts. Photos, hashtags, it made my stomach turn. Was she planning this all along? When we were kids, Archie would draw comics about superheroes saving their mom from alien robots. Meredith would hang them on the fridge with pride. But when Archie started getting sick, she downplayed it, said he was dramatic, attention-seeking. The doctor visit stopped. Aunt Linda once asked about a second opinion, and Meredith snapped. I started saving Archie's drawings in secret, feeling like I was hiding evidence. He wasn't weak, he was silenced. After Archie's service, Meredith insisted we host a candlelight vigil live suite. I didn't want strangers watching us cry, but she said it was what Archie would wanted. I nodded, numb, but slipped a Polaroid of us at the beach into my jacket one she hadn't approved. Aunt Linda whispered, she's monetizing this. That night, Meredith uploaded a clip of me crying with a donation link underneath. I stared at the view count, 50,000. Grief shouldn't feel like content. A week later, I found Meredith rehearsing thank you speeches in the mirror. Her voice quivered perfectly on cue. When I walked in, she smiled like nothing happened. I asked why she's recorded Archie's last voicemail for a TikTok montage. She said, people connect with vulnerability. I wanted to scream. Aunt Linda suggested checking the fundraiser logs. That night, I didn't saw money going to luxury hotels and spa retreats. Grief was her brand. I wasn't sure who my mother was anymore. I confronted her with the receipts shaking. Meredith laughed and called it expenses. When I pushed, she threatened to kick me out. Aunt Linda told me to gather everything, proof, dates, transfers. I started screenshotting, downloading files, saving voice memos. But Meredith was always one step ahead. She changed passwords, locked drawers. I slept with my phone under my pillow. Archie's hoodie was my armor. I wasn't grieving anymore, I was preparing. But for what I didn't know, at a family dinner, Meredith toasted to Archie's lasting legacy. She passed around brochures for a nonprofit she'd named after him with herself as founder and CEO. I nearly choked. Aunt Linda's eyes burned into mine. I said nothing. Later, I found out she trademarked his name 2 days after the funeral. That night, I cried into Archie's hoodie, then stuffed it in my backpack. If she wanted to rewrite his story, I'd make sure the truth got told first. At the community fundraiser gala, I stood backstage while Meredith prepared to speak. She adjusted her designer blouse, told the host to dim the lights just right. I walked onto the stage before she could, microphone in hand. I said, my brother died of a preventable heart attack while my mother ignored his symptoms. Fast, she ran toward me, hissing. Aunt Linda stepped in front of her. I kept talking. The truth didn't need lighting, it needed volume. Meredith tried to yank the mic, but the host pulled her back. I read from her emails, dates, donation logs, photos of receipts. The room fell silent. Someone whispered, is this real? Aunt Linda projected the fake invoices onto a screen. I looked into the crowd and saw my father, silent in the corner. He didn't move, didn't blink. Meredith screamed I was lying, a jealous daughter, but her voice cracked. For once, her performance fell apart. Security escorted Meredith out, stilettos clicking like gunshots, cameras flashed. I stood frozen, hand trembling over the mic. Aunt Linda hugged me tight. I whispered, did I just ruin everything? She said, no, you revealed it. The crowd was quiet, shocked, maybe grieving their illusions. I didn't cry, not yet. Archie's hoodie felt heavier that night, like it had absorbed everything, but I wore it anyway. His story was finally mine to finish. Later that night, I posted everything, documents, clips, timelines on Archie's memorial page. Comments flooded in, thank you for your bravery. I donated, I feel sick. Aunt Linda warned me there'd be backlash, but the support outweighed it. Someone sent me an old photo of Archie helping a kid on the playground. No filter, no caption, just Archie being real. That image broke me. I cried until dawn, but it wasn't from shame, it was relief. He was finally seen. I thought the nightmare was over, until I received an anonymous envelope inside a prescription label in Meredith's name. Dated weeks before Archie's death. Medication he needed but she never gave. Aunt Linda examined it. Face pale. She knew, she whispered. I contacted the pharmacy, they confirmed the refill was picked up. Meredith hadn't just ignored his symptoms, she withheld help. The hoodie, once comforting, now felt like evidence. The real story had only just begun. I dug deeper. Aunt Linda gave me old voicemail backups. One had Meredith whispering about natural causes before the autopsy report. She'd rehearsed the narrative. I sent it to the authorities. That night, Meredith messaged me from a burner account. You'll destroy this family? I didn't reply. I saved it. I was done protecting reputations. If Archie's hoodie carried truth, I'd wear it into every courtroom. His death wasn't fate, it was calculated neglect. Detectives reopened the case quietly. Meredith vanished from social media. Her GoFundMe accounts were frozen. News outlets called me, but I refused interviews. I won a headline. I was Archie's sister. Aunt Linda arranged a private meeting with Archie's pediatrician. He admitted recommending cardiology screenings, but Meredith declined. She said it's causing anxiety, he confessed. My stomach turned. I gripped the hoodie. It wasn't just fabric anymore. It was testimony stitched in cotton. At the courthouse, Meredith appeared unbothered, heel sharp. Lips glossed. Her lawyer claimed grief-clouded judgment. I handed the detective a folder labeled Archie. Inside photos, emails, prescriptions, the voicemail. Aunt Linda squeezed my hand. The judge reviewed it silently. Meredith avoided my gaze. I remembered Archie's last words to me. Don't let her spin it. My chest burned. That day, I didn't cry, I spoke clearly. The courtroom listened. Outside the courthouse, strangers approached me. One woman said, my son died too. Thank you for speaking. I nodded. Unable to speak, Meredith's face splashed across local news. Mother accused of medical neglect in son's death. Aunt Linda sat beside me in the car, holding my phone. You did it, she said. But I didn't feel victorious, just tired, like I'd been holding my breath since Archie died, and finally exhaled. The detective called a week later. There's the second account, he said. Meredith had funneled money from donations into crypto wallets, hiding it offshore. Aunt Linda's jaw clenched. She always had a backup plan. I felt sick. It wasn't about grief, it was business. I posted the findings online. Tagging donors, the backlash grew. Celebrities who'd promoted her fund apologized publicly. Meredith's brand crumbled, but Archie's truth finally had teeth. A viral TikTok stitched my speech with childhood clips of Archie. Here, a sister exposes family secrets. I turned off notifications, heart pounding. Aunt Linda said, "Keep will see you now," but I wasn't ready. I replayed the voicemail. Archie's laugh echoed. Raw and innocent. That night, I folded the hoodie and placed it in a shadow box. Not because I was done, but because it needed protection. My grief deserved space, not performance. An anonymous tip revealed Meredith had attempted similar schemes before twice in other towns, under different names. One victim reached out. Her sister died from accidental overdose after being denied treatment. The parallels shattered me. This wasn't isolated. Aunt Linda joined forces with other families. A network formed the Archie Coalition. We weren't just grieving, we were investigating. Meredith created a brand, but we'd make it her indictment. Grief had evolved into justice. I was invited to speak at a high school about online fundraisers and red flags. Standing on that stage, I felt Archie's presence, not ghostly, just memory solidify. I wore the hoodie's patch on my sleeve, sewn into a denim jacket. Aunt Linda watched from a front row. I didn't talk about Meredith. I talked about silence, and how it steals justice. When I finished, students lined up, some crying. It wasn't just my story anymore. The coalition published a dossier, dozens of pages, linking Meredith to multiple suspicious deaths and fundraisers. It trended under grief for profit. I stared at the screen as names poured in. So many Archies. Aunt Linda said, "You cracked it open." I didn't feel heroic, just exhausted. But this exhaustion had direction. The hoodie now hung on my bedroom wall. A witness, a warning. Meredith wasn't just my monster, she was a symptom, and we were finally building the cure. Meredith was indicted on charges of medical negligence, fraud, and obstruction. Cameras swarmed the courthouse. I stayed home. Aunt Linda bought me a vanilla milkshake, Archie's favorite. He'd be proud, she said. I didn't know what pride felt like anymore. Just quiet. I replayed our last beach trip on my phone. The one photo Meredith never posted, Archie smiling unposed. I uploaded it to the coalition page. Caption, "Let this be the last one." A journalist emailed me, asking to option the story for a documentary. I hesitated. Aunt Linda said, "Your voice built this, let it echo." We negotiated terms, no glamour, no dramatization, just truth. I agreed on one condition: Archie's hoodie would be shown, not explained. It wasn't a prop, it was presence. Filming began quietly. I spoke about control, silence, and how love weaponized becomes grief's enemy. This wasn't just a story, it was evidence. One night, I got a message from a girl in Missouri. My mom did the same thing after my brother died. She attached screenshots eerily similar. I added her story to the coalition archive. Meredith's crimes had rippled wider than we knew. Aunt Linda asked, "Do you regret it?" I shook my head. Grief used to isolate me. Now it connected us. Archie's hoodie wasn't just mine. It belonged to every silenced sibling. Meredith's trial began with jury selection. I testified on day 3. The courtroom was cold. I brought the hoodie, but left it folded in my bag. I told them about the receipts, the prescriptions, the emails, each word steady, practiced. Aunt Linda sat behind me, hands clasped. The defense painted me as vengeful. I didn't flinch. Truth isn't vengeance, it's clarity. And for the first time, the judge nodded, not in sympathy, but respect. Meredith's voice cracked on the stand. "I didn't mean for him to die," she sobbed. The courtroom was silent, but the evidence was louder. Aunt Linda squeezed my shoulder. Afterward, outside, a girl handed me a drawing of Archie with angel wings. "He's proud of you," she said. I choked back tears. For years, Meredith controlled the narrative. Now, even children knew the truth. That sketch now rests beside the hoodie. Together, they speak louder than grief. The jury found Meredith guilty on all counts. The judge called her actions a calculated betrayal of maternal duty. Cameras flashed. I didn't celebrate. I sat in the hallway, hoodie in my lap. Aunt Linda hugged me. "It's over," she said. But it wasn't. Grief doesn't end with justice, it just changes shape. I folded the verdict copy into the hoodie pocket, not to hide it, but to carry it forward. A truth stitched into memory. A month later, the coalition held a candlelight vigil, not for Archie alone, but for all silent stories. Hundreds came. I read the names aloud. Aunt Linda lit the final candle. I wore the hoodie one last time, and draped it over the microphone stand. People wept. Someone sang Archie's favorite song. That night, I didn't feel broken. I felt collective. This wasn't my grief anymore, it was our movement. And Meredith, she no longer defined our story. Sometimes I replay that gala speech not for validation, but to remember the moment I chose truth over fear. Aunt Linda says I sound older now. Maybe I am. Meredith wanted a legacy. She got an indictment. But Archie, he got justice. The hoodie stays in its shadow box. Not forgotten, just honored. I'm not healed, but I'm loud, and that's enough for now. Every time a message comes in, my mom did that too. I thought I was crazy. I feel Archie's voice louder. Aunt Linda says we started a revolution with receipts and resolve. I just wanted someone to believe me. Ow, hundreds do. I journal daily, sometimes just a sentence. Today I wrote, "He mattered," and closed the page with a steady hand. I stopped asking why, it never helped. Aunt Linda taught me to ask what now. Now I speak at schools. Now I comfort kids who feel erased. Now I keep a photo of Archie in my wallet. No filter, no edit, just him. Meredith built a lie. We built a movement. And I get to carry that movement forward. One honest breath at a time. Meredith was sentenced to 15 years without parole. No cameras, no crowd, just a judge, a gavel, and consequences. Aunt Linda and I didn't attend. We went to the beach instead, Archie's favorite spot. I threw a stone into the waves and whispered, "We did it." The ocean answered in silence, steady and sure. The coalition became a nonprofit. Aunt Linda runs the finances. I handle outreach. We fund therapy for survivors of parental manipulation. A mural of Archie was painted in our town center, Cape Hoodie. Bright smile, kids leave flowers there now. It's not about grief anymore, it's about protection, prevention, power reclaimed through truth. I keep Archie's hoodie in a glass case by my window. Sunlight hits it each morning. Sometimes I sit beside it with coffee and just breathe. Aunt Linda calls it sacred space. I call it necessary. We didn't just survive Meredith, we dismantled her, and in doing so, built something enduring, truth that can't be unspoken. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe to check out more stories on my channel.